And we are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the first agent course live. Let me see all of you. We're going to start the live in 2 minutes. So in the meantime, please tell us where you come from. In my case, I'm based in Paris. What about you, Geoffrey?
I'm also based in Paris. And Ben?
I'm based in Antwerp in Belgium.
Nice. So there is people from Chicago, Pakistan, India, like Paris. Yes, nice. Let's see. Ecuador, Iran, Florida, USA, Turkey. A lot of people. We saw that there is a lot of people from USA and from India. Paris, nice. Liverpool, Canada, India. Saudi Arabia. Yeah, it's really all around the world. We try to find an hour that fit for everyone, but it's very hard because everyone is distributed around the world. So Chile, but this will be recorded. France, Belarus, Chile, Nepal. Nice. Yeah, there is really around the world. So yeah, a lot of people really excited to create agents. So it's very nice. Yeah, so as I said to people who just arrive, we're starting in 2 minutes just to wait that everyone who wants to join can join. Israel, Florida, India, Tunisia. Yeah, very nice. Oh, we're already 2,200 people. That's amazing. That's really amazing. To be honest, I really thought that will be, and I think we really thought that will be like, I don't know, 500 people. So it's very nice to see all of you. So thank you for being here. Yeah, I think we can start. Maybe 7. Yeah, let's start. So, first of all, hello everyone and welcome. And thank you for being here for this first live of the agent course. The first thing we want to do is to introduce ourselves. So my name is Thomas Simonini. I'm a developer advocate at Hugging Face, and some people know me in this live because I wrote the Deep Reinforcement Learning course 2 years ago. And I also work on the AI in games part at Hugging Face. And currently, I'm one of the co-creators with Geoffrey and Ben of the agent course. What about you, Geoffrey?
Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Geoffrey, so I'm a machine learning engineer from Hugging Face. And I was working in the monetization team, and now my focus is on agents. What about you, Ben?
Thanks. I'm Ben. I'm a machine learning engineer, and I've given courses in data sets and in post-training LLMs. And I worked on this course as well, and I focused on most of the LLM material, and I built the quizzes and the certifications. And yeah, those are my favorite parts of the course as well, in case you have any questions about them.
Okay, so let's get started. For people who don't know, this live is about the agent course. It's a new course at Hugging Face where you will learn. It's a free course from beginner to expert. The goal of the course is to teach you how to create agent. So it's a free course, and I think you already know that agent is really the topic in AI for 2025. We see a lot of companies being created around that. We see a lot of projects about that. And so I think it's really the skills to acquire this year. And fortunately, with this course, you're in the right place. On this course, we have already 72K signups, which is amazing. And we want to thank you for that. And we really hope you're going to like it. We work really hard for that. And so let me just give you some information about how this live is going to happen. There will be a first part, which is a presentation of the course, when I will give you a little bit of information about the course, the scope, the units, and the challenges. And then there will be a Q&A during around 30 minutes. And after that, we will have a small surprise to announce. And one thing is that don't hesitate to start to ask your question now in the chat so that, my two colleagues can, check the question. So as I said, we launch the course on Monday. And so you can have access here with this link at hf.co/learn/agent course. Okay, sorry. So there is two ways to find the course. The first is with this link, which is hf.co/agent course, which is the organization of the Hugging Face Hub. This is where you're going to find the quizzes, the space, everything you need to do the hands-on. And this is also where there is all the links of the course. And the second link, it's hf.co/learn/agent course, where there will be the course content. For now, unit 0 and 1 are published. One thing I want to mention is that we have a Discord server where I really advise you to join, because it's a place where you will be able to exchange with us, exchange with your classmates, and ask questions, study together. I think it's always easier when you study something new to be able to participate with multiple people. And this is also where we give the latest update information. So the link, you have the link here, which is hf.co/join/discord. But you also have the link in the course when you go to Unit 0 and you do the onboarding. Also, the best way to keep being updated about the new units, the new updates, etc., is to sign up to the course. So if you already signed up to the course, you should have received some mails from us. If it's not the case, please check your spam folder. And if not, the link is here. Also, you have the link directly when you go to the course directly. You have a link to sign up to the course. So, yeah, someone asking, yeah, it's free. The course is completely free. There is no, it's totally free. It's totally open source. So it's totally free. Yes, and also the video is recorded. So again, so what I said, I put the link, and what I said is that it's really the best moment to start to learn about agents. And so we prepared something very nice for people to start with the theory, then the practice, so that you're at the end of this course, you have a very strong foundation to be able to build your own agent. So to give a little bit more of information about what we do during this course, you're going to study AI in theory, design, and practice. The idea is that we also want, in addition to the hands-on, that you understand the theory behind the agents, so that when you will use a new library, you will be able to rapidly, keep up the pace with this library, because you will have the theory, and so it will be much easier to understand how to use new libraries. You're also going to use established AI agent libraries, such as Small Agent, LangChain, and Llama Index. You're going to share your agent on the Hugging Face Hub and explore agents created by the community. And you'll participate in challenges where you will evaluate your agents against other students. This will be during the Unit 4. And finally, you will earn 2 certificates of completion by completing assignment. We think that it's important, these certificates are important because this is a good way to show to your employer or future employer that you have the skills about agent. So yeah, again, I put the link of the course. So, but in any case, if you didn't get the link, what you just need to do is that you type on Google, hf.co/learn or agent course by Hugging Face, and you will find it. I just want to emphasize rapidly on the 3 paths that you can do during this course. The first is to participate as an auditor, where you want to read one of the units, but don't do the whole certification process. Something important, because I see in some question this. You don't need to tell us which path you choose. It's because it's automatic. What I mean is that if you pass the quiz of the Unit 1, you can get a certificate. If you pass the Unit 1 a use case assignment and the final challenge, you can get the completion certificate. So what I mean is that you don't need to tell us, you just, do the quizzes and the assignment, and then you go to the certificate section and you can generate your certificate. My advice is at least try to do the certificate of fundamentals, because I think it will, since you will get a good foundation of agent, it will be important and useful for your career to be able to show, this certificate to say, I pass the agent course by Hugging Face. So it shows that you have some skills in agent. So if you don't want to do the whole course, at least I think it's important to earn a certificate of fundamentals. All this information that I'm telling you, by the way, will also be also in the Unit 0 during the onboarding. One important thing is that sorry?
Could I just add a bit there on the fundamentals?
Yeah, sure.
So one aspect to the fundamentals that you should know is that the quiz doesn't require any code. So you can get that certification without following the code components, which we think is really good for like decision makers and people that don't use code, but they're really interested in agents and they want to work on agentic projects and get a certificate for that. So just note that that's your kind of certificate if you don't use code.
Yeah, good, yeah. So there is one deadline. If you want to get the certificate, you need to do the assignments and finish before May the 1st, 2025. So to help you to be on time with the deadline, what we've done is that we created what we call a recommended pace. Obviously, this is just a recommendation. You can walk at your own pace, but we provide you this recommended pace where you see the syllabus and you see what week we advise to work on. So yeah, just to rapidly quick to go to the syllabus. You have Unit 1 where it's already published. It's an introduction to agent. You have a theory part and a practice part. You're going to create your first agent using small agent. Next week, we have a bonus unit where you will learn to fine-tune your agent. After that, we will have a unit about frameworks, such as LangChain, Llama Index, and small agent. And on the third unit, you will have the use case, like how you can use agent in real world, what type of use case you can use with, an assignment. And at the end, you will have on Unit 4, what we call the final assessment, where you will create an agent and you're going to benchmark against other classmates. The idea is that we're going to build a leaderboard where you will be able to benchmark your agent. But we will give you, as the weeks go by, we're going to give you more information about the syllabus because it's a work in progress based on your feedbacks. That's why at the end of the section, we have a feedback form that you can fill, and it helps us to know which element you want us to add, etc., etc. So don't hesitate to fill them. I just want to skim rapidly on the best practices to succeed in this course. They are always the same. Go on Discord, don't hesitate, don't be shy. We have a very nice community, very friendly. And I want to thank personally the people who really help on the Discord server that answer questions. I see that the community is very active, so it's very nice. Thank you for that. So yeah, Discord is really the place where you can, exchange, find classmates, etc. So it's very nice. Also, in each unit, we have what we call ungraded quizzes that will help you to verify that you really grasp the material. So don't hesitate to take them. It's really important, I think, to be sure that you really, that you're not fall into what we call illusion of competence. And finally, define a schedule to stay in sync because, as I said, there is a deadline. So so I think it's important that you have at least every week, you work on one part of the units. And yeah, you don't need a lot of tools because a lot of people ask me, can I use my phone? And I will not advise to use your phone because you will need to code. So you will need a computer and you will need a Hugging Face account. And a free account is good enough. You don't need a paid account for this course. One thing I didn't forget to mention, the requirement for this course is you need to have at least some skills in Python. and you need to have a little bit of, a little bit about LLM, large language model. If it's not the case, we put in Unit 0 and Unit 1 links that you can check. We have a natural language processing course that you can follow. But my advice is that you need to already have a little bit of skills in Python, in code, and a little bit in LLM. But in any case, if you are very motivated, we give some links to this course, so you will be able to keep up the pace. And one last thing before we move to Q&A, there is 3 ways that you can help us to promote the course. The first is to like this video because it helps to reach more people. The second is that we have a GitHub repository where we put the course, which is github.com/huggingface/agent course. And starring our GitHub repo helps to make it more visible to the GitHub community. And finally, don't forget to follow the agent course organization because it's also where you will have all the information and it's the main entry point for all the other links. So again, this is the link of the course. And I think now it's time for Q&A. One thing, if you have technical question about, I can join Discord. I have Prem, generating my certificate or, on the quiz. I think the best is on the certificate space, on the quiz space, etc., to go to the discussion tab. Because this way we can track and we can, rapidly check what's going on based on your username, so that we can check if you pass this quiz, if the certificate is generated, etc. It's much easier for us. And so now I let my 2 colleagues to answer your question. And if we don't have time to answer your question, don't hesitate to ask in the Agent Course question channel on Discord.
Hi, so the first question that I noticed was this one. It was about Python, and it said, what would you suggest for those who are not familiar with Python and to get the most out of the course? So yeah, this is a really good question, one that I'm really interested in. As we said, the first unit of the course doesn't require Python to complete, but it does show some Python and it does guide you through some steps. And obviously, if you don't understand that programming language, you're going to find those parts of it quite difficult. And so we'd suggest that you go to the reading material and you focus on the fundamentals and you get the most out of those fundamental parts of the course. From Unit 2 to 3, it's for Python programmers, and so those units won't be ideal for you, and it's that first unit that you should focus on. We're also going to release bonus units in the future, and those bonus units will have kind of different target audiences. And they could be like no-code bonus units if that's something that you want. And so if you really enjoy that first unit and because it's no code, then say that in the forms and push us that way, and we'll release content like that.
Yeah, sorry for the non-French. This question is in French, but I will translate. So basically, this question is asking if the course will be available in French, and let's extrapolate in other languages too. So at the moment, it's not. This is an English-only course. But if you wish to support your local language, you can do PRs to translate in other languages.
So a short question about another course that we've done in over the last few months about Small Course. This was an experimental course on loads of different subjects, and it was really a way of finding out what the community wants. And this course is different to that one, and it is fully fledged. It's interactive, and it has material that you can follow along and live sessions like this. Small Course was kind of static and asynchronous and small, and so they're very different courses. And if you're here, then you probably know that, and that's great.
I saw this question talking about the NLP course. So do you recommend doing this after the AI agent course? This would be the other way around. Like if you feel that at some point you don't have the NLP background, it would be better to do the NLP course first. But that being said, in the agent course, we start from scratch. So all knowledge that is necessary to understand agent are in the Unit 1.
Okay, I'm going to answer two questions in a row that are both about timeline. The first one here is that why is there a hard deadline on the 1st of May? In real terms, the deadline is not that hard, but it is about creating a kind of cohort and a group of students that are studying and discussing together so that we can all collectively get the most out of it and kind of motivating ourselves. The certification process runs in parallel, so we can collect certifications as you go. You can adapt the pace to your own life, and you can move slower and faster in various bits. And if you're getting your certificate after that date, we're going to support you in that if you need. And so it isn't a really, really hard deadline. It's about creating a small community that's working on something at the same time. The other question about timing was how much time commitment is required. This is not an easy question to answer, really, because it depends on your own life and how deep you go. We're saying around 3 to 4 hours per week, per unit, sorry, as we release them. And we're going to release a unit every 2 weeks. We have some bonus units in there. There's a lot of written material. There are exercises that you can go deeper on than we encourage. So I'd say there's 3 to 4 hours is your sort of minimum, and you can take it up from there.
I saw a question asking about the LangChain part. So is it LangChain agent or LangGraph? In fact, it's going to be both, because we are going to start explaining the principles of LangChain and then moving on to LangGraph.
So I saw this question, do we need a GPU for this course? But I'd kind of extend this out as well, say sort of what sort of hardware do we need for this course? No, you don't need a GPU. We use inference APIs and the hub for the course, and we also use a number of smaller models at various parts of the course, so you don't need a GPU. If that was something that you had, you could kind of get more out of the course. You could try different models from the hub, or you could download those and kind of take it further, and that would be pretty cool and quite exciting. So it's definitely something you can take advantage of. But you should be able to run this on a general computer, nothing fancy, just that you can access Python, and that will take you all the way to the end of the course.
I'm seeing questions about which kind of LLM are we going to be using. So at the moment in Unit 1, we used 2, but I'll try to be as generic as possible, meaning like in future unit, we will use other LLMs and a small LM that we haven't used in previous units.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this question asked about the certification process, and the person said that their Hugging Face account doesn't have their full name. That's okay. Within the certification process, you can define whatever name that you like, but the certificate will be attached to your Hugging Face profile. And the reason that we do that is just so that the certificate has validity and it links back to a profile, because this is just something that people want with certificates, so that they're not just an image, that they actually have some kind of credential, and people know that they're a valid certificate. So it just kind of adds some value to you to have those certificates, because they're maintained and they're linked back to a reference.
So can we make the final assignment if we do not have prior knowledge of LLM? That's the purpose of the course, is to guide you through from no knowledge of an LLM to being able to actually code an agent and compete in a benchmark and a leaderboard against other students.
This question asked, why have you chosen only 3 frameworks? Okay, I mean, you could ask the question both ways. Why have we chosen 3 frameworks and not 1? Most courses will just choose a framework and teach you through it. And I suppose we could choose 10 frameworks. The reason we haven't chosen more than 3 is because we don't think it would be a a feasible course for us to build to a high standard and for students to follow. That's a lot of frameworks to learn in a few months. And in reality, most people don't really need more than a few. Why have we chosen 3 and not 1? Well, that's because we wanted to build an agnostic course that wasn't really about frameworks. Frameworks are just a way of doing something. This course is about agents and about the fundamentals and understanding them. And we've chosen 3 of what we think are the best frameworks out there. And if you look at the statistics on them, they're the most used as well. And they're kind of 3 diverse frameworks for 3 diverse tasks. So that's why we've chosen those.
So is this course relevant for project managers? We are trying to make this course as general as possible. So that's why we divided it into multiple units. Unit 1 is here for the fundamentals. So if you feel that your Python skills are too light at some point, it's okay to just read the materials and not do the coding steps. And not necessarily like do the final assignment, which will be a little bit more code demanding.
So this is a cool question. I really like it. What was your motivation to come up with a course at this moment in time? Can you share more of the perspective about AI agents in the industry to 2025? It's a really kind of long-winded question. Maybe Geoffrey wants or Thomas want to answer this as well after me, because it's kind of like just a position question. So for me, my personal place in it is that I've been building small courses around LLMs and teaching people how to use LLMs at different kind of levels. And it's really exciting. But it's as we move into agents that they actually become both exciting and kind of fully usable. So it's really where you let these models loose and you can actually do things with them. Also, now in 2025, like the problem of inference and compute seems to be way less significant than it was the year before. And people can actually access a diverse range of models on the hub. And so we can kind of get closer to building applications and switch between different open source models. So there's so much more you can kind of do there without needing to worry about hardware and go into those kind of complexities, which means that more people can build this stuff. So for me, that was why this is the right time to build AI agents. And there's also a wider range of frameworks and libraries out there now. So from small agents up to LangGraph, there's kind of more to learn there than there was a year ago.
So maybe are there only theory or video tutorials? It's exactly the right time to ask this question. There's going to be an optional unit next week that is going to cover fine-tuning that I recorded, and it's a video in that case.
Cool. This question asks for kind of extra study material. I finished the first unit yesterday. What should I do to practice in preparation for the future units? So we've added links throughout the material that you can collect and kind of go off and do some extra reading. And obviously it's not 2 weeks of material that, 80 hours of work or something. It's definitely not that much, and it kind of will fit in most people's lives. So there's a lot of space there. Personally, I'd encourage you to go through the reading material first and kind of collect that together and go into that. I'd then encourage you to kind of enter into the discussions in Discord. And if you really feel like you're getting your head around that material, then maybe you're one of the, one of the vanguard students a bit further ahead, and maybe you can help your colleagues and kind of work through those questions. And maybe some of those questions are quite difficult for you, and you can go back and work on those and help each other. That's really cool. And then maybe you can go back to the exercises and kind of go deeper on them and build more complex applications and start to find the limits of your abilities so that you can have ideas about the kinds of use cases that you'd want to build or what you find interesting and challenging. Because then as you come into Unit 2 and you start to see frameworks, then you'll start to think, okay, now I know there's this problem I want to solve, maybe this itch I want to scratch. How can I do that with this framework? And you'll start to unpack and grow like that. That would be my recommendation.
So does this course require knowledge about the Hugging Face ecosystem? Well, the course is happening on Hugging Face, and we are using a lot of Hugging Face tools. So this is something that we need to work through to get you that knowledge about using the Hugging Face ecosystem. But hopefully the lessons are clear enough so that you get that knowledge on the go.
Cool. So this question asks, can we use an agent as a SLM, a small language model, or just a large language model, an LLM? So yeah, this is a difficult question in the sense that they're not really two separate categories. You know, there's a bit of a spectrum. And on that spectrum, you have small models of 135 million parameters. If you look at the smallest, smaller models, and models right the way up to 72 billion parameters. If we look at Qwen, really powerful models, and even some models with greater parameters than that. But those models are really relevant to the task at hand. So there might be some tasks that are about structuring text and restructuring text in certain formats, and smaller language models can do that, and they can do it pretty effectively. And you might be able to find that a 1.7 billion parameter small LM can perform that task, and maybe even smaller than that. Then you might work on a kind of reasoning or math or code problem, and that model probably might not be able to do that. And so you'd go up to a 7 billion or even 72 billion parameter model in order to perform this kind of complex task. And I'd encourage you to explore that and to find out both what models of certain sizes can do and what they can't do. And if you've got kind of real hardware constraints, then I would encourage you to focus on small language models and to work on tasks that they can solve and to figure out what that is.
So are we going to see use cases that show how to move in production environment or AI agents? Exactly. So basically, at the moment, we only saw the fundamentals, but going on with next week, we're going to see frameworks, and Unit 3 is about use cases. And use cases is actually building a real case, like you would be in production, into to fulfill an objective. So I think it relates to your question.
So this question asks about submitting code as part of the assignment for the unit completion. So in Unit 1, as we mentioned, there's no code submission. These are multiple choice questions within a quiz format that challenge your understanding of the fundamentals. As we go on, we will grade. We will not use quizzes in every single unit for assessment, and in the third unit, we may use a quiz, kind of based on feedback and where people are going, and that might be a kind of more code-related quiz, because units 2 and 3 challenge those things. But what we're certain of is that there will be an assignment at the end of the project, which does contribute towards your sort of certificate of completion.
So does the course teach VLM agent and vision agents? Yes, it will to some extent. VLM are really used. Are really used as tools in, for instance, web browsing. So this is a fundamental also component of what we need to learn in order to complete the last assignment.
So this question asks whether we'll build deep research agents. That's how I understood it, like the ones recently released by OpenAI, and or even the open alternative by the makers of small agents. I'm not sure if that's going to be a specific, as the specific title of one of the exercises, but we're working towards a Gaia style evaluation, and that's very similar to that application. And so in effect, if this was something that really interested you, you could definitely point your final exercise towards that kind of use case and maybe add an interface on top of that and work on that. I'm not sure if Geoffrey wants to add anything more to that question because he's
that's perfect. Perfect answer. So basically, Open Deep Research just took the second place of the Gaia benchmark, and the goal of the final assignment is a Gaia style benchmark with different questions. And so, if you want to reproduce that kind of coding that they did in Open Deep Research, this is totally possible.
Here's another nice question. Are we building our own agents or building on top of other models? So this, what I get from this question is maybe that you want to take a look at some of the chapters in the written material, what are agents, what are LLMs, and kind of go through that section. And just to get an idea of the difference between an agent and a model. So when we talk about models, we're talking about the LLM at the core of the agent. This is this is a binary process. It's not a piece of code. It returns back a kind of reasoning or text that it's generated about a decision. The agent as a whole is a system that reacts and acts upon events and performs those functional steps based on the decisions made by that LLM at the core, so the model at the core. So they're two different things. And you'll be building agents using existing models from the hubs, and you won't make any real modifications to those models. You'll just be building agents.
So does this course connect LLM agent with RL agents? Might be a question for Thomas, but basically, no, LLM agents are very different from RL agents. So if you're interested in RL agent instead, you may be better by checking the RL course.
Yeah, there is. It does not connect, except if you train your LLM using LLFH. But the deep reinforcement learning course is not on this topic. Is more on classical deep reinforcement learning, from Q-learning to PPO. So no, there is no connection between both. But RL course is also a very good course. I'm not very objective because I wrote it. But yeah, if you're interested on that after the agent course, obviously you can join.
So this question asks, are we going to see use cases that show how to move into production environment? This isn't something that we're really discussing in the course. Yeah, we don't have a kind of production unit, but that's definitely a unit that I could see, and I could definitely see it as a bonus unit. What I'd say is that the libraries that we're using are robust and are used across the industry. So the transition from these agents to something in production is not unimaginable, right? It's you'll be using the same code and you'll need to consider operationalizing that. But if that's something that you really want, I'd go to the feedback form and I'd mention it, and we'll definitely introduce a bonus unit on that. There's a few people at Hugging Face that I think would really enjoy making a bonus unit like that. So yeah, please bring that up.
So the crispy question, are we using DeepSeek? Exactly. This is part of the plan. At the end of Unit 1 in the final assignment, the model that is currently in the template of the Unit 1 final assignment, your first agent, is a DeepSeek distilled model. So in that sense, you are already using DeepSeek as part of Unit 1, but DeepSeek will come back in later units too.
Cool. So this question asks, is there any limitation for the number of attempts that you can make? So no, there's no limitation. In fact, you could even try to follow all of the units right at the end of the period and collaborate differently. It's completely self-paced, and you can run through those as many times as you need. My recommendation would be, if you do take the test and you don't pass, would be to go back to the written material and kind of take another look through that, and then try again. I wouldn't kind of try to brute force the quiz. You may pass it if you've got enough time, but I think you'd probably only be wronging yourself, because some of the stuff we're covering in this Unit 1 is actually fundamental, and the components of Unit 2 rely on it. And so getting the most out of Unit 2 relies on those kind of fundamental components. So I'd really encourage you to try and then go back and iterate like that.
So there's another question on the final assignment. How is it evaluated? So if you look at the Gaia benchmark, actually, there is some ground truth answers. So there's a question. You have a series of tasks to perform. It is usually either having tools like web search, having tools that can evaluate, like look at a local file and all this kind of thing, and then at the end of multiple steps, there is a ground truth answer. And this is a kind of exact match pairing. So this is going to be the same. It's going to be evaluated from a computer program, a code that is going to check the ground truth of the question to the pre-computed ground truth. But those questions are usually pretty hard. So there's no way you get the maximum score on those kind of benchmarks.
So this question asks about OLLAMA, but I would just extend it out to other inference tools, inference libraries, and platforms. We use inference APIs that are integrated into the hub most of the way through the course, and the reason for that is that these are kind of consistent and things that we can give you the most support on and make it easier for you to ask questions and know whether it's you or the model that's creating a problem. We kind of reduce down the number of constants so that we can just make it easier to support you and not have a kind of too many libraries and too many variables in the learning process, like OLLAMA or VLLM and these kind of other alternatives. That said, all of the frameworks that we're using have really wide selection of inference options. And so you can kind of follow along the course and learn the fundamentals and learn about agents. And then you can go away to those frameworks and learn about their integrations. And you'll also be able to swap between models on different inference platforms. So you'll be able to say, okay, I used SmallLM2 via Hugging Face inference endpoints, and now I'm going to use that same model via OLLAMA and run it locally, and you'll be able to swap those out. Or you'll be able to switch over to proprietary APIs like OpenAI or Anthropic or Google and try your agents out in that way. But the course keeps it kind of simple so that we can help each other the best.
So should we have knowledge of machine learning fundamentals like backpropagation, stochastic calculus, softmax, and so on? This is a nice to have, obviously, but the fundamental in Unit 1 is here to normally even out the knowledge of everyone.
Cool. This is a similar question to the last one. Do we code on our devices, or are there a sandbox? So the way that the course has been built is that many of the units use spaces on the hubs and notebooks there. We also have spaces, and you can spin up your own notebooks. We'll give you template spaces that you can duplicate and try out in different ways. So actually, you don't need to do that kind of that much environment management on your own machine. And if you've got, say, a Windows machine or a Chromebook or these kind of various machines, as long as you can connect to a browser and you can get it to spaces, you'll be able to go quite far with the course and go along with the coding.
So maybe related question, how exactly do we use LLM with agents? So do you need external API? No, we have something called the serverless API, in which you can already call some of the most trending model directly from the Hugging Face environment. So this is what we use. And in any case, we can also provide some inference endpoint with the model deployed for the content of this course. So that you don't have nothing to pay to follow this course.
So this question asks about the field of LLMs and if there are any kind of prerequisites that would support this course. I would say that the agents course comes in right after I think part 3 or 4 of the NLP course, where you start to talk about tokenizers and using using in that course models for inference. It comes in right after that, and it actually carries on explaining tokenization and chat templates and inference. It leads on really well from the NLP course. There's some material in that NLP course that aren't relevant here, like for example, fine-tuning models and these kind of things. We won't do any of that in the agents course. So you can take that certain part of the NLP course and follow on into this one, and they work together quite well, I think, and they'll just give you a bit of background knowledge. That said, if you've been using LLMs for the last year or so, you have a basic understanding of tokenization, basic understanding of generation. We're going to build on top of that basic understanding with a bit more information, and then you can kind of go from there.
So does this class has agent security related content? I would say at the moment, not directly. We will grasp a little bit of that when we talk about frameworks. For instance, code agents are in a sense very free because they can code their own tool and they can then call them, while JSON agents are less free. And we have some frameworks that are very free, like Small Agent on one end of the spectrum, and some frameworks that are very deterministic, like LangGraph on the other end of the spectrum. So this is where we will tackle a little bit in agent security, which is related to going to production. You want something secure if you need your agent to actually do something meaningful. So this is in that context that we will talk about it.
This is another question that I just find really interesting, even though it's quite a simple question. Can I use JavaScript instead of Python? The answer is no for this course in its current format. But personally, it's something that I think we could definitely work on, and it would definitely be cool if this course was rebuilt in TypeScript and JavaScript so that more people could use it. We're dependent on the libraries that we're using, but there are libraries in other languages that are really compatible. So it's one of those things, again, if this is something that's really important to you and it makes total sense to build agents in JavaScript, there's no kind of Python specific attributes that we really want for agents, then I would start to talk about that on Discord. I'd start to bring it up in the forum and maybe kind of build together a sort of JavaScript agents community, which I would definitely love to become the ambassador of. And so, yeah, if that's something that you want, let's talk about it. But right now, it's not something that's in the course, and we've only got a Python implementation, unfortunately.
I think there is two I can answer very rapidly. There was one about if we are going to do lives and when. Yes, we think to do more lives during the course. We keep you updated with the email and Discord. We try to find an hour that fit for most of people because, as I said, it's very complex since you are distributed around the world. So we will keep you updated on that. And there was another about, how this course, is not going to be obsolete. The idea, of course, at Hugging Face is that there is a first version that is made by us and by the community, and then we try, people can contribute, and we always try to update based on what's happening. Agent is a very fast topic, in terms of things are moving fast. So yeah, for at least the next month, extra, it will be updated, and then it's an open source course. So the idea is that the community can always participate. And one last from my side is, can we get Hugging Face agent swag, stuff like that? We don't promise anything for now, but we are thinking about stickers and stuff like that. But again, it's not decided yet, but we would love to do that. We also we made some illustration and stuff like that you can already share. And so we also on Discord, we want to create like stickers and stuff like that you can put on your message. But yeah, not everything is already decided on that, but yeah, there is some things that we're working on. And I think we have time for at least 1 or 2 questions, I think. And for the over, if we do apologize if we don't have time to answer your question, but you can ask us during the next weeks, like today, tomorrow, etc., on agent course question, and also in the upcoming lives.
So maybe this
one last question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One last question I noticed was, is it possible to finish before the deadline? In real terms, no, because we'll release that last unit and that last assignment, and that will lead up to the deadline. So there's a certain amount of leeway if you worked faster on that very last assignment, and you'd be able to finish before then, but you wouldn't be able to kind of do the whole course in the next week. You'd need to wait for the next few units to be released, and once that last unit's released, you could go fast from there and finish early. And the reason for that, as I said before, is that we're kind of maintaining a community and a cohort of people that are working through it together.
And last question on my side. So what happens is somebody fails the test? Can he, she try again? And does he, she gets the certificate anyway? So for this question, there's going to be 2 certificates, one for the fundamental, which is on a quiz. That quiz can be taken again as many times as you wish until you meet the minimum criteria of 80%. And so you can take it again and again if you fail it, there's no problem. And on the final assignment, which is going to be code related, where you're going to have to send your results to a leaderboard, we're going to have a passing grade. Let's say there's 50 questions, you need to at least have 25 out of 50 correct. This is the passing grade, and you can also retest as long as you wish until you meet that certain criteria. So there's no failing, basically.
And the one thing I would add there is that for that final quiz, it's your agent that needs to answer those questions and not you. So you can try as many times as you like.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's move on for the surprise. I let Ben explain.
Okay, so this comes from our colleagues at Gradio and in the Small Agents Library, which you'll be familiar with. You'll use both these libraries in the course, and it's a hackathon. It's a kind of live and partially hybrid event, we're told, and it will use all of the skills that you're going to build up on the course. It's that last week of March, the date shown on the slide there, one of those weekends. And so this is a great moment for you to apply these skills. You will already be familiar with both of these tools and building agents for them. And so this is a chance to kind of, use it in practice. One thing I would really encourage is you to come together as students, and we'll kind of support that. And if there were a whole series of agent course teams that you work together on and went to this hackathon, that would be really cool, and it would be cool to see you on the leaderboard for that hackathon.
Yeah, and we will give you more information in the upcoming days and weeks. Don't forget to sign up to Discord and to the mail to get the latest information.
Cool. And then this is just a recap, really, of everything that we've said at the beginning and through all these questions just before we close. So if you need to stay up to date, you don't want to miss anything as the course moves forward, the first thing to do would be to follow the organization on the hub. The way that HF works, the way that the hub works is that any kind of changes, whether they're bug fixes, comments, anything, you'll get notifications. You'll see that on your feed, and so you'll know as the course evolves. So especially when the new units come out, and it's also a nice way of kind of getting an inside line on some of the material. I noticed a few students were working on the quiz kind of before the material came out. So if you want the inside line, definitely follow the org on the hub. As we said a few times, join the Discord if you want to discuss things and speak to students who are also studying. Another way of getting the inside line on our material is to start the GitHub repo, and then you'll get notifications about our pull requests, so you'll kind of see the material even before it's published, and that's the best way of getting that inside information. If you're already working on the material and you have questions kind of about the subject, about agents, I would first go to Discord, start a thread if you like, if you see an interesting comment there already, and start to ask questions. I've noticed that a number of students are very engaged and are kind of taking the conversation up, and we're doing our best to join in as many conversations as we can. So I would go there. If you have kind of technical issues, like you're not sure if the application is broken or is your code wrong, and you really just want help with errors and bugs and things like this, I would take those to the hub and to the spaces, and so that way the various builders of those tools can help you right there. It just makes more sense instead of stuff getting kind of lost in Discord. So I would go to the hub for those kind of things. And then going forward, what should you do straight after this live session? Well, if you've already finished the material, let's say, I would go and get your certification. So I go and take the quiz and then do your certification. And if you want, you can share that. It's already got a link, so you can add it to your LinkedIn and stuff. And then I would look out for the new units coming. If you followed us on GitHub and on the hub, then you'll get notifications about that. And then I would also look out for more live sessions like this one and like the kind that we've discussed during the session, just to so we can see you again. And that's everything from the recap.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. We're super happy. I think both of us didn't thought that we will get this amount of signups. We are about 74K signup, which is like crazy and amazing at the same time. Yeah, so thank you very much for this live. We'll see you next time. And yeah, keep learning and stay awesome. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.